Okay, so it's almost not October 7, so let's get started. First, we have GPU shortages on an nvidia. To be fair, it was a little hard to gauge the impact of the release, given recent events, but also pricing the way they did also didn't help that much. I hope this has given AMD enough time to ramp up production and disable Bing. Are you sure you want to download Chrome? Why not try Edge? Cool. So next, VMware, nvidia partner to boost AI. This sort of AI is sort of a buzzword, right? Anyway, more cooperation is better. I've been getting into hypervisors and all of that, and just getting support for nvidia cards is really difficult, you know? Like, you can only put enterprise cards in, or you try and put another GPU in and trying to video output to this person, video output to this person. It's a janky process. So anyway, next one. Oh, real-time ray tracing leaks of Xbox Series X. Leaks, yeah, I don't know, just have a look. Bigger bars mean better. Woohoo! Yeah. Wow, look at the Navi one. Whoa there, Navi. Navi. Okay. So, that was about a minute. Now, bonus time. Now, why are they changing the names of their cards? What do you call them? Quadros. So yeah, typically Titans and Quadros didn't really get much attention in like mainstream media or consumer markets, you know? And so it's like, you know, when you see a Titan, you're like, oh, it's a Titan. It's gonna cost like 2 or 3 of the top of the line consumer card. And so people just kind of ignore that. But now they've kind of named it differently, like the RTX 3090. It is not a Titan, but you know, it's like the picture where the person, he's wearing a mask, and it says not a Titan. And when you pull the mask off, Titan, or sorry, the mask says 3090. When you pull the mask off, it says Titan underneath, something like that. Anyway, the same with the Quadros. They renamed them. Why did they rename them? Or maybe I just didn't realize it. But yeah, RTX A6000 and A40s. Yeah, so Quadros, price-wise, I don't know. Quadros have always been expensive. And, well, the same as the Teslas, but they're a little bit different to that. Different use case. But these coolers, they look really nice. I've always been a fan of blower style coolers. And they get a lot of slack, you know, and people are like, hey, the blowers, they're so loud and annoying. Oh, I brought a card today and it's a blower, FML. But blowers have their use cases, like in small cases. That's the use case. So they eject air as fast as they can out the back of the case. Whereas like axial or dual or tri or whatever axial cards, they'll just cycle air through the case. And you know, and if your case is really small, it can even affect CPU performance. And I think I got a couple of videos on that, because in my case it's like an HTPC case where I've added a riser and a GPU, and the CPU cooler is actually, it's AM4 mount, copper cooler. I think it's how tall? Total height is maybe less than 3 centimeters, including the blower. But yeah, blower. And it gives me a lot of headroom, you know, like when I start to render, I just like push render and I run, and then the whole room gets loud, and I got all that temperature headroom, and it's got liquid metal as well, so that kind of helps with the conductivity. Now also, the screen said 300 watts. Max power consumption 300 watts. So that's 75 from the PCIe slot, and then the 225 from the cables. And just off the top of my head, you can pull more than 225 from an 8-pin without the cables melting. But the limits are in nvidia. So they often put their own artificial limits on the cards. Sometimes you'll get a BIOS that'll just remove the limit. Sometimes you'll need to... Quadros are really interesting, you know. Sometimes it's just a change of a capacitor somewhere, and it changes the type of the card. Like, not Quadro, it was the Teslas? K10, K4, K something. And you change the capacitor on it, and then the whole card type will change, and you just get some new features. You get data center features that you wouldn't otherwise get. But anyway, removing power limits, some hard mods you need to do. A typical one is called a shunt resistor mod, and so what I believe is the shunt, it measures, use this as really low resistance on this shunt resistor, and I think what it does is it'll just measure power from one side to the other and then calculate a difference and say, hey, you're at your power limit. And so what you do is you either destroy that to just run another cable, but another thing you can do is you can just add another of the same resistor on it. So if it's like, it's not going to be, let's say it's like 1,000 or 1k ohm resistor, and you put another 1k ohm resistor on top of it, that is essentially putting them in parallel, and so resistance in parallel divides. So 1,000 plus 1,000 equals 500. But if you put them next to each other in series, they'll just add. So 1,000 and 1,000 is 2,000, but they're in parallel, so 1,000 and 1,000 is 500. Maths! And I'll show you some examples at the end of this video on how that works. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed this video. I went a little bit off topic. That's usually how my mind works. It's like go in a straight line and then you go this way and then you go this way and then you... Alright. It's really late. I worked from 8:30 and I finished at like 7:30, and then an hour in the subway, got home, had another video to make, and then this video. So tomorrow's news probably going to be much better than this. See you.